Okay, so I'm Ista Boszhard, concept developer at Waag Society. And it's funny in a way, because I still have problems explaining really briefly what Waag Society actually is or does. So I'll just start and it will become more clear and clear. So we're an institute for art, science and technology. We have a lot of people working at Waag Society. We run around, I think, 50 or 60 projects at the same time. And we have people, I have colleagues with all kinds of backgrounds. I'm working with fashion designers, art historians, biotechnologists. So you can imagine that if we work on projects, we can have we can work on really different projects because we have so much expertise. But what is important, that it's always about social innovation and technology. And it's funny to also mention that the town hall, for example, calls us the R&D environment of the city. And if we talk about social innovation and technology, I think within Waag Society, technology is really not always the solution. It's more something that emerges. There's more and more. There are a lot of changes. I mean, that's the topic. Everybody, I'm sure, we all know what we're talking about. But it's also a tool to do research. So we don't see it as a solution. It's more where the questions come from and what we use to say how we want to see the future, actually. So we do research in 6 different labs. And of course, the labs work together because it's sometimes hard to say, okay, this is a typical care project or this is a typical open design project. We have a lot of academies to also disseminate and to learn others. And of course, we're open. That's one of our values. So we have a Fab Lab as well. They're kind of separate but together. So there are many possibilities to get in touch with the Waag. So these are the labs. I don't go through them, but just to give you an idea that the project we run, it's about healthcare. It can be about elderly. It can be about problems in the city, measuring your environment. What do we do with big data? How can we see design processes change and the role of the designer? So I just go through a few projects so you have a kind of an idea. The first one, did any one of you hear of Fairphone before? Yeah? I see a few hands. Well, they started in 2010 and they said, okay, can we produce a phone that is more fair than what we have now? Can we, because we know it's an ethical, the mining doesn't go in the right way, and if our phone is broken, we really don't know what to do. So what did they do? They just started making the phone themselves, and to really open up the whole chain actually, and the production chain. So they really started from scratch. And they came with the first phone, which was only 3% more fair. They were really open about that, which is not a lot, but it's a beginning. So they're now already working on the second phone. They sold, I think, more than 60,000 phones. And they had a lot of support. And they're working on the second now, and you can repair, you can take it apart if something is broken and put a new part in. So every time, each new version, they try to make it a little bit better. So they also say, if you buy a phone, you're part of a movement. Teacher Maker Camp. Some teachers really don't know what to do with all the emerging technology. And we developed a Teacher Maker Camp, a program. And it's not about, okay, how do I 3D print? Because that's often how they come to the course. Like, okay, I need to get to know this machine. But we say, no, it's more about what kind of attitude do you need? Because you don't have all the answers. You need to try, you need to see what you can do with the machine. So in the end, they really understand that the 3D printing, they thought it was the least fun, or they didn't care anymore. It's much more about trying, daring to make mistakes, not having the answers, but say we can try to find them together. So we're working on a cookbook as well, that you can all have your Teacher Maker Camp, that we really like to spread within the Fab Lab community. A European project. This is a terrible industry, the textile and clothing the industry. If you think of also of the working conditions, but also the waste, and everything goes faster and faster. And this project is actually looking, okay, they see a lot of their craftsmanship. Actually, the people that have all the knowledge about craftsmanship die. So how can we make sure we don't forget about all the knowledge? And they also want to make sure that not all the production goes to China. So technology, in this case, gives the opportunity to make small series of productions, to test, to also see how you can design in a different way. So that you have less waste, things like that. So it's really an exploration, and from there we can see if we can find new business models. So it's a big project. Digital Fabrication Lab, it's actually a little bit the same, but then it's more about architecture. But what I really liked about this project we're about to finish, that they realized we cannot design everything. We cannot design the next big lab, the next big plan. We need to, again, just see what we can do and how we can connect with little projects that are already going on, like Dus Architects. There's a lot of testing with the 3D printed house. Last project I wanted to mention, because Waag Society really addresses things. As I said, we don't always have the answers, but we search for better ways to do things, to include people, and also to open things up, to give people an understanding of what is actually going on with all the technology. So we're kind of against Facebook, but I think all my colleagues are still on Facebook. But we had a really big party, and it was a Facebook farewell party to really to explain what Facebook does with all our data, but also how it changes the relationship actually with your friends, because they decide what you see, what you don't see. And they showed also what kind of alternatives there are. So on the one hand, it's really addressing, we're kind of rebellious and idealistic. And on the other hand, it's also showing alternatives and to see how we can spread those things. You can all find it online if you're thinking of leaving Facebook. So just in really short, this is the Waag DNA. So code is culture. Technology is not neutral. We make it. The things around us are not a given. Critical design. If you can't open it, you don't own it. I'm sure most of you know. So what's inside? Can we do it ourselves? How does it work? What are the influences? And users as designers, so it's always human-centered. And of course, learning by making. You cannot invent the next big project. You need to test and try within reality. I think that's most important. So just to end with this slide, to give power to the people again. Thanks.